G'day mates and welcome to my channel. My name is Rachel aka Crazy Bones and welcome to my channel. Today in this video I will be going through my processes of my painting. I am expanding my knowledge and expanding my limitations on creating this art piece. So here in this beginning process I am taping down areas where I did not want to put a base wash over. So that's watered down acrylic to the point where you could see through it. I did this so I could distinguish between the floor, the sewage pipe, and the ceiling and floors, walls in the background, and not impede on the foreground character and the monster coming through a portal. So to prevent the water down acrylic paint from seeping into the monster and the character that I have in the foreground, I'm painting tape in areas to prevent it from seeping over into places that I don't need it. So that's what I'm doing with the tape. You can find the tape that I'm using. If you live in Australia, you can find it at your local Autobarn store. So they sell tape like this. It's designed for doing car detailing. I just use it on my canvases. If I wanted to separate two different zones with two different colours, that's the only thing I use it for. And I'm using it for this so when I do the watered down acrylic paint over the top, it won't seep through as heavy compared to if I didn't have it. So that's the only reason why I'm using it. And that's all I used it for. I did not use it for anything else. That's the only way I used it. It's the only thing I do use it for is to separate two different zones. If I have more than one zone, then I do the same thing. That's about all I use the tape for. The way I cut the tape too is that I was, instead of using scissors, because the scissors that I used weren't long enough, to cut it off, I just used a palette knife, which you can buy from a local art store, and I just fold the tape down, put the palette knife through, and then cut it off. I just find it easier. You can use scissors if you want to. I prefer not to, because the way I had to do the painting. Buy ones that, if you buy scissors, make sure you buy ones that are right length for the tape you're cutting. Just a reminder, if you are going to use scissors, that you please be careful because they are a sharp object. I don't want you to cut yourself or hurt yourself when you learn to do what I do. The same safety goes for using a palette knife. Depending on the brand like some palette knives can be slightly sharper than others, and yes, I've experienced that firsthand. So please be advised that your safety and consideration during making a painting has to be in that for planning as well. With taping down the areas that I did, it took me 4 solid days to do, due to the fact I did have other things in my life going on. I wanted to get them out of the way, so I had to span it through 4 different days to actually tape it down and get that ready. In order, the way I did it, I had to make sure that the tape was stuck down properly so that there would be no seep-throughs, and if there were, it wouldn't be as major. So I'm happy I did it, and it turned out great. There were a few seep-throughs, but they weren't as bad as I was hoping for, so it was pretty good. The tape I used is pretty great. The less seep overs, the better, which means all you have to do is paint over it with acrylic paint, and you can fix up the areas that you need to. So it gives you more stability when it comes to painting. your canvas. So the parrot on my shoulder is named Zeus. Here is an FYI for you all, in case you ever get worried about Zeus sitting on my shoulder and trying to grab stuff that he shouldn't be. Please note that I do keep a very watchful eye over him, especially when I'm using tape. I keep my closest eye on him over all the work that I do, just so he doesn't chomp, chew, or get something he's not meant to. And even if he does, I chase him down and get it out of his mouth. I am 100% responsible for when I'm painting, taping, or doing anything artsy around my bird to make sure he doesn't get anything in his beak that he shouldn't be having. This includes the tape in the video because it's brightly coloured. He believes he can chew on it and have fun with it. And in cases that he has picked up tape, I am following him around like a mother chook, making sure he doesn't swallow it, and so I can get it out of his mouth. Either way, he's not happy because he can't have fun with the tape, and he's not happy he can't chew on it. But I'd rather be safe than sorry than allowing him to do as such. When he ends up with tape in his mouth, I will chase him around the room if need be, just to get it out of his mouth so he does not swallow it. Because it would be an expensive surgery if it got stuck in his crop to be removed. And I do not want to go through that. Zeus does know he should not be picking up and chewing on tape, but because it's so brightly coloured, he ignores what I say because it looks like fun. To him, anyway. He is safe. When I do my paintings, I just keep an extra eye on him to make sure I see where he is at all points in all times. So I either don't step on him when he's roaming around on the floor, or so that he's not picking up stuff that he's not meant to be chewing on. Back to the main video topic. So as you can see in this portion of the video, I did my black and white, mix them together to make my grey. I just applied earth brown and Norwegian orange to the canvas. It took a bit of water to water them down. With acrylics, you have to work really fast to apply them to the canvas when they're really watered down, because the water evaporates really quickly. I mean by it evaporated too quickly is that when we have warmer days, the water dissipates quicker than over cooler days. Because we're heading into warmer months where I live, the water will evaporate quicker, so you would have to apply more water to watering down your acrylic to then apply it to the canvas and actually have enough there so you won't have much left over unless you have it in a container. So I suggest using like a plastic bowl, one that you can recycle and constantly use, unless you end up with a split in it and then you're going to have to recycle it. But I suggest using like a plastic bowl or a bowl that you have in the cupboard that's ceramic. One of them will be fine. I've just got a plastic one that I've used for a while, really. Just never got around to really using it. I find it easier using a bowl if you're doing your watered down acrylics rather than just a plain palette, which I have, due to the fact that water dries really quickly. You'll probably notice that I have my paintbrushes in tins. They're recycled Miley tins for my paintbrushes. I did this like a while ago, like a few years ago, that I've put my small brushes, my big brushes, and my palette knives into tins so that way they're organised and my counter's clear instead of having all my brushes strewn all over my desk. That's the only reason why I use it for. So the painting is called Evil Coming. There's a history behind this painting, and I cannot go into the details of it at this time. In future, I hopefully can. And it will elaborate more on the story of the character, because it comes from a story that a friend has written whilst he's trying to write a novel. Now, I can't talk about it because he hasn't continued it, and I don't know what's happening anymore. So the only way I could describe this character from the storyline my friend wrote is evil, demonic, as many would say, in a way that this character is pretty much a nuisance to the hero arcs in the story. I wish I could tell you guys more. I wish it was an actual book that I could pull from a shelf and open up the pages and read to you. I cannot. Because it was a baseline for a character that isn't in a bookstore that you can go buy. So with this character, I have to apply the same aspects on how I've read that story to how I visually see this character. Now, I've popped up a picture previously. I'll pop it back up again. That was the original drawing idea digitally that I had for the character. It was just an idea. However, I thought what would be a good idea is to enableize an in-depth of the character from years ago until now. Which means I'm basically going to change over how I did the original to how I'm doing the painting. Which means I'm applying techniques that I didn't use for the digital original compared to what I'm going to use for the canvas now. Which are techniques that I have learned over the years that I'm stretching out to bring forth this character to life, or semi to life, really. Please subscribe, share, and like. Thank you.